Right. I think I see something. So Sparks, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Everything
yeah, I can
okay?
hear you.
Yeah. All right. All right.
So, thank you, Yanis. And just before we begin, and I just hand over the stage to Yanis. So, just a couple of housekeeping items before we start. So, feel free to show your support for the session and the speaker by using the emojis down below in your screen. And we want to make these sessions as engaging as possible for the community so that you get the most value of them. So please feel free to use a chat to share your thoughts and the Q&A section to post your questions, and we will address some of them during the end of the session. And also remember to share your learnings with your community on LinkedIn and Twitter and use hashtag Spartans and Spartans Summit. And with that, Yanis, the stage is yours.
Great. I think you can see my screen, hopefully, right?
Yes, Yanis.
As I said, I'm really glad that I'm being here today. I will talk about how we can actually learn about AI, how we can use it. I think all the talks the last couple of months, it's around how we can build a more efficient, autonomous pipeline, but we need to have in mind the human intelligence, and that's is the symbiosis effect that we're trying to figure it out today. So I'm Ioannis Papadakis. I think Sparks told them I'm actually leading the whole quality department on our first Greek neobank, Snappi. I'm based in Athens. I love working everything that touches product engineering. I really love community events. That's why I'm really glad to be here with you today. I love public speaking. I'm trying to be very, very punctual of contributing on these events. I'm not this guy in the photo. This is another one. I just took it. It's not AI generated. I know. You will hear a lot of jokes around AI. I hope I will keep you engaged with that. So, a little bit about my journey. I've been around speaking to all these conferences that you see here. Some of them are located in my place. I have been to 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐚, 𝐻 So, it's really new to me for the summit that we are all together today, but it's also, I will add also in this slide the summit for the next event. So I will talk about the evolution of QA. What I need to point out is the the sequence that we are getting things out of AI nowadays is very fast, right? Things are changing really amazingly, and we need to step back a little bit to see where we were before, like a couple of years. We need to find, to see, to validate what was the QA of all the times, let's say, to understand where we are heading, after this period of time. We'll talk about the disruption. So AI is disrupting our work. It's actually transforming our work. And it's working together with the agility. So we'll see some practical examples and some theory behind it. We will understand how we can balance between artificial intelligence and human intelligence. This is the point of this talk today. We'll see some case studies. Of course, I will leave some time in the end to have any questions from the audience. So I will start with a powerful statement. This is starting all my talks mostly. So in the age of disruption, quality is not a gate, it's a growth engine. It's really powerful. It resonates very deeply with how we evolve the quality assurance in the modern organizations. It reframes a little bit how the QA is not just a single checkpoint, to be a more strategic, let's say, a driver of innovation, how we can use AI nowadays in terms of QA, how we can have a customer satisfaction, and how we can scale our businesses using this transformation. So from having a gatekeeper, we have an enabler person. We need to be more customer centric and more data driven decisions. With all these changes that are happening, we need to make sure we provide insights that can fuel the product and the process improvements. I kept the surprise. I'm from Greece. I think maybe there are people from the audience that can, do their hands up. It's a lovely country. I hope I can see you in some conferences. We have WE Test coming up, which is a very strong testing conference as well. We have lots of finance. We have a lot of sun. It's a really nice country. I hope I can find you. You have me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me if by any chance coming. I would love to be there for you. So the evolution of QA, right? It has been a dynamic journey so far. It shaped a lot of different technological advancements. I was part of this advancement by early 2010 when I started my journey with software quality assurance. And from that, it's almost 16 years. I have seen so many changes on the development methodologies, how the business needs shifted a lot. So and we see right now we are witnessing how AI is part of our life and it's changing so fast everything. And of course, it's just a change because a lot of people are saying I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to have this. I mean, it's very tension. It's actually transforming how we do QA. It's not. It's transforming. We need to have different skills to adapt right now. So to start a little bit the journey, everything started in 1940. I wasn't there. A lot of people weren't there, but the concept of the testing began, with the development of the first computers. So it was very informal at the beginning. It's focusing mainly on hardware or machines and if they are functioning correctly. But then we went to have the term bug, which is from Thomas Edison. Firstly, he coined this term bug. He confronted what he later called the bug when he began developing some telegraph system. You know already Thomas Edison about this, and he was actually very, he was very intense of how the system can perform. Um, so Edison worked a little bit about building what he later, called backtrap to isolate, unwanted breaks to the system, let's say, to the telegraph, so it wouldn't interfere with the meaning of, of all the functionality and the Morse code signal that maybe is heavily around the system. We have the first computer bug. This is from Gracie Murray, 1945. I'm keeping a little bit of a history just to understand that she was the mother, let's say, of the bug as a term. So she filed the first actual case of a bug being found, which is really cool. Now, if we go a little bit more in the history, let's say, we have 1951 Joseph Juran. He considered also a father of software testing. He emphasizes a lot of the importance of quality assurance. The quality control handbook, I hope a lot of people read about it. Don't just stick to the modern era, just go back in time because it will reveal a lot of things that have been challenged throughout these years. And we have the first NASA program, the Project Mercury, which formed in 1958. The QA back then was also informal. Testing was purely manual, of course. We just focused on debugging more than having, let's say, structured testing. Now, you will see here, this is let's say, the historical events that I try to summarize. After 80s and 90s, we have the waterfall methodologies in the companies, more manual testing. During 90s, we had the first experimentation with different development approaches. We have some automation tools that are coming into the picture. Early 2000, of course, more robust automation came in. What we needed faster release cycles, and this was the key point after 2000. Let's say all the methodologies that we tried to introduce included autonomous systems that we're talking about today. Want to solve this problem, how to make it more efficient, more fast, and this is just it. Even the agile manifesto and the agile methodologies, the DevOps or the continuous integration, all trying to fix or solve, let's say, the same problem right now. Of course, now we have the disruption, we have the AI. We are already there. We are witnessing this change a lot for different kind of things. From as we said earlier, we have different like 𝐀𝐛𝐨𝐻 AI. We can use 𝐀𝐛𝐨𝐻 AI to just generate map snapshots of our app, generate test cases without any business context behind it, without any awareness of the business requirement, for example. Help on the maintenance of everything, predictive analytics of we can find areas that can be improved, or we can detect anomalies of our systems. So intelligent systems, this is the thing that we are experiencing right now, and everything in a way that we can use natural language to drive this this shift. So the disruption is AI. It will rule. It's actually ruling the world. It's not like it's going to rule the world. We need to adapt, right? And we need to adapt fast, and we need to keep pace with all the speed and complexity and uncertainty. So what we need to redefine as leaders how the QA is going to be a driver of innovation. It's not a bottleneck anymore. So we need to encourage people and QA teams to challenge assumptions, to drive this AI integration in their workflows, recognizing innovation metrics, not just count defects, not just find what our product is actually vulnerable and having issues with. We need to invest in upskilling QA teams. Even for me, it's so many things that I need to digest, so many tools and practices right now, different LLMs. We have Cloud, we have other ChatGPT, whatever system or engine or AI agentic system. There are a bunch of them, and we need to hurry up. This is the speed that we need to have in our minds in order to upskill our teams to have a more thinking towards automation, how we can actually help automation with this. So the future is invest on the people and the humans within the loop. So the QA is a strategic enabler. It's not going to fade away. It's going to change in a way that we can live together with these technological breakthroughs, that I would say, around all these systems that are coming into life with agentic AI nowadays. The QA needs to work closely with product design and development. So we need to have a cross-functional collaboration that we can automate different parts in the QA workflow. We need to have an experimentation mindset because nothing is final, right? We are experimenting. You can build. Actually, I built my own agent. You have seen a lot of articles about this. I built my own agent or my own MCP server. So go build, try to experiment because everything is changing. Make it with a little bit of a salt, meaning that we need to make sure we are investing in the right direction, right? So a lot of buzzwords. Even for me, it was tricky back then. Like in the last couple of months, we have so many changes coming. We started with traditional machine learning systems, predicting some stuff, but using more traditional machine learning models. We have back then the data science. When I'm calling back then, it's like a couple of months or a year ago. We had introduction of the GenAI, then we had MCP, we had the AI agent, agentic AI. Now we have agentic AI systems. So everything is changing so fast. Different buzzwords, but they have a common root cause, right? When it comes to prompt engineering, this is a general thing. It's a technique that we need to possess as QA engineers. Like we need to possess techniques that we can efficiently query all these, agentic systems or the LLMs behind them, in order to make sure we're getting the responses or even testing the system itself, right? So there are different, let's say, techniques you may have heard, like the zero shot or the few shot, when you are giving few examples to your prompt, or you are not giving example, or you are chaining examples together, low, like a logical chain of thought, so you can get the output of the model. So these techniques and the prompt engineering is not something new, but when it comes to QA and especially on automation, when you are building your own, let's say, agentic system on top of your frameworks that you're already using, you need to have these techniques, fitted in the quality world, let's say, right? It's not about just asking the LLM right now. It's about, as you have seen right now, asking the right questions just to make this intelligent system react the way that we want to do, right? And I will pause, and I don't know if I can hear some sound, but I will play this. It's a nice one. Just to play a video. It's a very quick 3-minute guide. I hope it's playing. It's taking forever. Maybe not. I'm not sure if I'm getting. But if it's not, that's fine. I think I have a problem. Maybe we'll share the presentation with you guys, with all the community members. So what this, I will try to summarize what the video is saying. Unfortunately, it cannot be played. Is not something new. Is that your personal flavor when you're doing prompt engineering? How do you build, around your skills and how you are interacting with these systems? It's a little bit more personal. Nowadays, it's very costly. A lot of people are saying, you have heard about for example, Claude. It has the skills or different structures and markdowns. How you can prompt your system. If you have different flavors, you can have different results. Sometimes you need to be more efficient, and these techniques are really powerful. You need to build them as soon as possible to make sure you are efficiently using these tools and systems. So I need to go later on. The future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. It's my second quote right now. I lied with some only adding one quote when I'm starting my presentation. And is it true, right? Is it here? This it's yes and no. So for example, we can think that the future was here when we had the first Apple iPhone, but it didn't exist yet, right? The future was not even unevenly, let's say, distributed. Someone would imagine and iterate into existence. So at the same time, it's very true. So many things are that we are expecting becoming a reality, and they are actually existing, and we're thinking that it's going to exist in the future, but it's actually here. The Agentic AI was a few months ago. We're having this perception that we'll have an autonomous agent that will come to us, but we need to fit some prompts or some skills or whatever, and we need to drive this autonomous agent. I think a couple of months was already there, but we didn't realize that, right? So this is a powerful statement for me, to understand that we are really there. So agentic AI, it's the new norm, right? In today's landscape, AI, it's not an option. It wasn't not only for me, right? And all the companies, all the businesses are pressuring adopt. A fast adoption means that we stay up to date with all these changes. So with companies adopting artificial intelligence to streamline a different tasks, it's not about only QA and drive efficiency. Actually, QA teams are more on the front lines of this evolution for me. Um, we have seen a lot of different combination of tools, frameworks, and processes coming into life. We have seen agentic systems, example, it's the 𝐀𝐻𝐻 that is coming into life, or you can see different agents that come into life. But how we as QA engineers are actually adapting to all this? We need for the QA teams to transform the way we test, the way we analyze, the way we automate, or we are running things into our continuous integration environment, or even the production. So this agentic AI means that we need to understand that these systems they are making decisions, they can make autonomous actions, but they need to be, let's say, with the synergy with the rider. The rider, it's actually like your engineer. So for example, a skill sets MD or an agents MD or any markdown for that you are building your skills for the agentic systems, you need to understand that this is the work that we have been doing for years, right? So you're driving like a robot, I mean, the AI thing, but with your work, right? What you exactly worked in all these years, it's actually driving a machine behind it, and the machine can take decisions based on this, let's say, process of orchestrating these multi-agent systems. And we need to understand that this is a new skill set. For some people, may need to be a little bit up to speed of what this means in terms of an autonomous system. and if we can actually use it for a production level release, for example. But unlike traditional automation, which we have predefined scripts, we have a predefined framework, now you can build your own agentic system just to drive this efficiency, drive this to understand the reasoning behind. These systems are evolving the way that you are making them evolve. They act independently. It's really modern when it comes to CI/CD pipelines and environments. It is going to be costly because a lot of people are saying we have the tokens, we have different perceptions if we are building this behind. And the good thing is that the companies are investing right now, and that's why the QA engineer need to take this as a benefit to learn and adapt. This is a game changer right now, and we know about all these different, let's say, how it's transforming QA. We have seen that we have test case generation, the battle of the self-healing scripts, everything changes. It's like a nightmare to update everything. So, cutting down maintenance cost, it's really, if you have this agentic system repair in real time what's happening, it's amazing if you just play around with it. If you don't already, if you play around with it, you see there are amazing results, but you need to have some balance between how you make it a production ready pipeline, let's say. So the question, a couple of months ago was, agentic AI or Gen AI. So, because you can use Cloud Code, just a system prod, or you can build your skills, just drive this agentic system. The AI agents already, we know that they are operating autonomously, but they want the rider. As I said, the rider is the human in the loop. Gen AI, of course, they weren't fully autonomously, and as I say, I'm lying a little bit. They are autonomously in a way that they can understand your application, even if it is a web app or a mobile app, but they need to have some human insight, some human intervention in the beginning. So um, actively, the agentic AI works towards a defined objective, and it's more of a goal oriented, let's say. But the Gen AI, it's a task oriented, right? We have a coding assistant. I'm giving a task, it's completing the task. That's it. This means it's performed more specific tasks well, but it doesn't plan a little bit long term. So the agentic systems right now, they are planning and they are updating and they are self-improving, let's say. So they are adapting continuously. So if you have your context window, they are adapting based on the context window, from previous interactions. They can improve strategies. Recently, I built my first. It's first because I'm always a little bit shy to say that I'm not very full up to date with everything. But I built my own, let's say, agentic system to hook it up with our framework. We were using WebDriver IO. We had some mobile native app. And I didn't want to use what it's outside, like use Claude directly, but I wanted to build my own tool selection and play around with it. You will see it's enormous change to understand that if you fit correctly the input and you have the integration with your frameworks that we are building your automated pipeline, you will see a lot of things break in the beginning, but you have more stability in the ways that you are improving and you are running within the context your agentic system. So it needs to learn, it needs to adapt continuously, which is a difference with Gen AI, let's say. The agentic AI interacts with dynamic environments, of course. They are processing real-time data. The Gen AI, it's not doing that. It's more straightforward, it's more static, doesn't engage, right? We know so far. And we go now to MCP. I think MCP, everybody knows, it's not a trend anymore. It's heavily used by our QA teams. And we have seen the outcome of different tools that we're using. So this MCP is actually helping when we have things that we need to drive in terms of the tooling. And the traditional test automation, it's a little bit more brittle and maintenance intensive, and that's why we introduced the whole model called the protocol, or the MCPs that you can drive together nowadays. Where we go from now to the future, right? How we are building a more efficient leadership on top of what we already discussed so far, and where is the human intelligence I'm talking about? How do we drive this? So the first thing is we need to redefine how the QA strategies align on this AI augmented environment. So we need to have a fundamental safety mindset, and which is the most difficult part when it comes to people, right, and humans. So there are different tools, as we said, different combinations of patterns, maybe different team roles nowadays. So we need to make sure we are aligned at the end of the day with the business outcomes. We need to leverage AI uh, more and more in our day to day, but with a balance on in terms of the quality, not just speed. We don't need to just hurry up, integrate the first MCP server created from the community just to solve something and then go to the next. So we need to build feedback loops into every stage of the pipeline. Now, redefining a QA strategy in this environment means we need to do the shift from automation to intelligence, right? There are traditional teams already are working with traditional automation techniques, now have a new technique to come in mind. So the traditional automation should not be long, it's not longer enough, like in order to fastly adapt to changes that are coming. For example, you can have features coming from vibe coding, you need to adjust very fast, right? And in order to do that, you need to adjust and take this leap to the intelligent part. So integrate the whole AI in the entire software development lifecycle, not just the testing. When it comes to build your agentic system, okay, let's go to CI/CD pipelines. We need to do continuous validation. These people needs to drive this. We need to monitor, evaluate, and this is actually a cycle. We have DevOps workflows already. We can enable the QA ops and make more, let's say, testing more fast using all these new trends right now. We need though to redefine QA roles and skills nowadays, and this is the part of the human intelligence. The AI is just a system that we can use, but the people needs to be very fluent in different platforms. Like for example, 𝐀𝐛𝐨𝐿, Apple tools. I don't know. There are plenty of tools that are using internally these AI integrations already. If you are not building your own systems, there are plenty of those outside. We have data strategies, so the people needs to curate different data sets and curate different skills, as we said. And we need to have ethical testers, right? They need to ensure that we have fairness, transparency, and we have safety when it comes to these systems. We need to focus also on resilience and adaptability. So we need to implement this intelligence in every aspect of, for example, we have an adaptive locator intelligence. So we can handle UI volatility. We can use more of, let's say, of a mapping to maintain automation stability between the context. We need to prioritize a little bit more user behavior, real world examples. And this, who is going to do that? The QA tester in the loop or the human in the loop, right? And of course, establish a QA and AI governance when it comes to QA. So we need to be compliant in global standards. We need to monitor how these decisions are made. We don't just blindly take for standard what the outcome is, even if it is so amazing and you can see everything autonomously executed on your aspect of your pipeline, of your development pipeline. You need to be very, very sure that you are monitoring that and you are tuning a little bit how the system can perform later on. So evolving skills and the mindset means that we, from testers now on, we go to the quality engineers, right? We need to have these skills and mindsets that are required in order to evolve very quickly and very fast. We need to embrace continuous learning. People, they don't just need to go behind the trends. They need to challenge them. They need to continuously learn them. They need to experiment, as I said earlier, because this is the new norm, right? This is the new norm. It's not going to be something that we're going to invest for the future, and we need to be very, very fast on that. So evolving skills and mindsets. I would say the quality is a shared responsibility, right? We're talking in the past about shift left, where the engineering teams can, build their quality. Now with the agentic systems, a lot of levels of testing can be, triggered from agentic system directly from the engineering team. But more end-to-end flows, how we're going to handle that, right? Which is more difficult to automate, more difficult to make the agent adapt. For example, you have hybrid, let's say you need to build multi-agent systems. If you have hybrid frameworks making API integration tests with third-party systems, together with end-to-end flows, what about that? How we are going to challenge that? We need to build our own, let's say, agentic system to handle such cases, right? Because right now, if you go very, very simple, it's just an agent that can drive web or mobile native execution, and that's it. But you need to feed data. You need to maybe read from a database, or query an API for an external system, or provide mocks. So there are different, let's say, functionalities that this agent needs to cover when it comes to agentic system, which is right. It's a core and shared responsibility when it comes to that. That's why. And we need to have continuous learning. As I said before, we need to stay current with the emerging tools. Data-driven decision making. We need to move away from this intuition-based testing to a more evidence-based testing. If this is coming to life, this is great. And we need to have user-centric thinking. So we need to emphasize more on the outcome for the customer, let's say, experience, right? It's not just about hooking up an agent, do whatever it's going to do, and that's it. But you have your customer in the end that you need to facilitate all these outcomes when it comes to, to the delivery, let's say, of your features. Now, the practical frameworks for AI integration, we need to identify areas that we can use for AI. Go small in the beginning, really. And these people that are working using agentic systems, you need to figure it out. You don't want to leave so much space, but try to experiment which areas are more risky for you, or high impact areas that you can start building more confidence using the systems. You need to start small, as I said, pilot, measure, iterate, and then you can build a full AI suite inside your QA workflow at the end. So you need to ensure that these models are transparent, and they can easily be, you can easily have explainability in these AI tools at the end of the day. So when it comes to frameworks for AI integration, I think most of them are really well known that I saw here. We have the generative testing framework. Like, what the purpose is, we can hook an agentic system to just automate the test case creation using whatever LLM we have in our hands right now. It can auto generate based on our preference. We have different frameworks. Some people, they can use agentic system just without any coding part at all, but for me it's a preference to have everything scoped right now. For example, if you have a company that it's already have an infrastructure of an automation for years, how they are migrating to these AI systems. They need to make it this a little bit more transparent. And this is a different process for another company that they don't have anything at all, and they are just experimenting, with AI. So it's a different approach. We need to integrate with CI/CD at the end of the day. So it's not about just building something on a local environment, but hook them everything up in the release pipeline. So that's the benefit of reducing a lot of the manual effort right now. We improve a lot the coverage of our systems and how they are testing, and how we are adapting to systems that are coming without business specs behind it, vibe coded systems, right? If we cannot follow the normal approach, you can understand anyone needs to be very, very adaptive to that. So we have the predictive defect analytics framework, which is another one where here we need to identify areas. We tell the agentic system what are the areas that are mostly likely to break. It can run against our code before deployment and find which areas can actually break. These models are actually trained based on historical defect data, and you can hook them up. So it's really important because these are enabling proactive testing a lot. We have the self-healing automation framework. Nowadays, you have MCPs that are doing these parts very easily. They are mapping the DOM or the snapshot of your application, and they can actually, create a self-healing mechanism without just by having some markdowns and driving a locator strategy yourself. You can actually define how they can pick up and actually do a self-healing, and it's really cool to see that in a real-time workshop, I would say, because it's really cool to see these applications of these, let's say, tools. We have the AI augmented code review framework. Recently, Claude launched the Claude Code Reviewer, which is another agentic system, but this has to do with how we speed up the development, how do we, automate testing within the development, improve the code reliability very fast. And we have the ethical AI governance, everything that has to do. We need to be ensuring that we have a responsible use of AI. It's not so open, because right now we are falling into the trap. Oh my God, what they are doing, all this agentic system, it's really enormous. So we can keep using them, but we need to keep using them a little bit responsibly, let's say. Um, and when we come to the part in the last 5 minutes, just to say how we balance the human insight. So automation or autonomous system doesn't mean autopilot. So we need to have the human judgment. It's really critical. We have the exploratory testing, have ethical considerations, we have customer empathy. So the human in the loop is here. They just need to adjust. We all need to just adjust. So balancing automation with human insight. Automation, it's not enough, right? We know that it's excelling at things like speeds, scalability. It's very ideal for things that has to do with regression or performance testing. But it fades a little bit short when we want to understand the context, when we want to do some user experience evaluation. We need to know how to do that. And that's why the people that are behind the user experience and the people behind the QA, they need to know how to use these systems, right? And that's the meaning of balancing this behavior between the AI and AI. So the value is on these tricky parts. We need to have a synergetic QA model when it comes to AI. So this is the outcome. We need to have the efficiency, have this agentic system trained and used by the workflow, but we need to give some depth and empathy from the human insight to these systems, right? And that's why you need to have this stability, let's say. You all know this is AI generated totally 100%. I know. I can live with that. So we need to define clear boundaries. Where is the human in the loop? We need to have a transparent, data-driven selection of test suites, for example, when it comes to QA. We need to reserve human effort for that, for more complex and subjective scenarios. Use AI day to day as a co-pilot or a coding assistant. This is pretty amazing to do that and have a personal justification about this, but you need to validate always and refine what strategies you are working on based on what the domain language is. Create the feedback loops. The human testers needs to provide feedback to improve these models. So these are the skills or other different markdowns that you may have heard about. That there are ways to feed these AI models with different, let's say, instructions. And we need to blend the roles, right? Encourage nowadays to have a cross-functional collaboration between automation engineers, manual testers, domain experts. So you need everybody to keep aligned on that. Of course, the next big thing is that you have different agents. So we need to start finding the needed skills in our testers, how to orchestrate all these agents all together. A multi-agent system means that you need to find out how to make, glue them all and find out how this is working end to end. In the system context that we see here, you have heard about system user skills nowadays, and maybe you have played around, but these are years in the making. These instructions actually you're telling, the system how to behave, and this is the actual work of the tester right now. They need to find a way and balance how to make it happen, right? So what the testers need or the QA engineers need to do, they need to design agentic workflows that they are working from the user's story perspective to reporting the agent. For example, we need to define what each agent is responsible for, setting the boundaries through the instructions, and making sure we are writing effective prompts and instructions by the end of the day. If someone says, "Oh, but it's boring, just instruction," it's not just instruction. It's not markdowns. It's a way to, write your personal, let's say, justification how to improve things. For example, you can challenge how to test the agent itself, a system, right? And to the end, that's the difference between MCP and skills. You have seen that, but it's not skills. It's going to change the MCP or replace MCP, because a lot of people treat MCP and skills like they are the same thing, or someone is replacing the other. So MCP is just the model context protocol. You know that it's communicating with tools, with frameworks, and it can execute. So every AI agent becomes a client that knows how to ask the tools, right? And this is the MCP. So the skills, it's actually instructions for us. It's not more than instructions. So it's a different thing. And a lot of people, confuse about this. And at the end, I think we are almost done. Building these teams resiliently. Disruption, it's not a threat. We need to make sure it's a catalyst. We need to evolve. We need to keep pushing teams to evolve. That's why it's the last part. Cultivate this mindset, invest in the tools that it's coming up with a sort of, having the human in the loop with all these automated solutions coming up, upskill continuously. Should be from day one right now. So thank you very much. Sorry, I was out of time. This is me. You can scan here. You can pick me up on LinkedIn. We can discuss anything. I really love to hear your story about using these systems as well.
Thank you so much, Anis, for that insightful session. Finding the right balance between human intelligence and AI in testing is something that the entire industry is actively navigating. And your perspective on how testers can evolve alongside these technologies was incredibly valuable. I can see there are a lot many questions Q&A in the chat, but due to interest of time,
Yep.
I will share all of these questions with you after the session, and we will post all the answers from you over our community channels. And
Sure.
feel free to follow those threads. And like if you have any follow-up questions for Ioannis, you can also tag him and ask any questions. And also feel free to scan Ioannis's LinkedIn link, and I will also post his LinkedIn over chat down below, so you can stay connected with Ioannis. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. Ioannis is very friendly and always supportive of for the community.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Ioannis, again for
Thank you.
sharing all your insights and engaging with our community today.
Thank you.